Davison for the Doctor Who comic in the IDW, and whenever I go to a convention, I'm always asked, who is your favourite Doctor? But as many of you, I'm sure, will agree, your favourite Doctor is the Doctor, no matter who it was. When I was a child, it was John Pertwee, then it was Tom Baker, then it was Peter Davison, then it was Sylvester McCoy, then it was Colin Baker, then it was Sylvester McCoy. Sorry, I saw someone in a multicoloured coat over there, it threw me. Thank you. So please guys, give a massive Comicpalooza Houston round of applause to the 5th Doctor, Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, and the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann. Guys, just so you know, this is Colin Baker. He's the 6th Doctor. I was going to say, you are a guy there in a multicoloured coat, and I looked at him immediately, and for some reason, I blanked you out.
You are going to have to spend the next 10 years totally making up for that. Apologising profusely.
Oh, I can hold it.
6 Doctors never forget.
I'm never working for Doctor Who again. Right, so, obviously, all 4 of you... Oh, hang on.
That's awesome. Party and big. Well, at least you can count. You know, just 4.
We'll start in a second. The photo shoot is happening first. 4 Doctors are here today, but 4 Doctors who started when the show had already been on for at least, or was coming up to 20 years when Peter took it over. It was over 30 years when Paul came on as the Doctor. So the first question I wanted to come to you was, before you were the Doctor, how much about the show did you know? How much of the show were you aware of? Were you fans? Did you hate it? How did it go? And we'll start with 5.
I was the first Doctor, I think, who played the Doctor who actually grew up watching the show. So I remember the very first episode, and remember it being repeated the following week because of the Kennedy assassination the day before it started. And so, yeah, I have very, very vivid memories of Doctor Who, and it was a very special moment, strange moment, really, when I was actually offered the part. Because as an actor, you know, when you leave drama school, you think, oh, I'd love to get a part in Doctor Who. But actually, then you find yourself actually being offered the Doctor, and it's very bizarre. But yeah, no, I knew all about the series. I loved it.
Yep, me too. I was a law student in London. I had a different life before so I wasn't even thinking of being an actor at that point. I had thought of it, but my father had said no, so I was a law student.
What a wise man.
Yeah. And I came back to my flat in London, and my fellow flatmates were sitting in front of the television, and the first theme tune ever heard came on the screen. And I was leaning on the banisters, on the return banisters, at the bottom of the stairs, and I found I was still there. Half an hour later, I hadn't moved. I hung my coat over and I just leaned and watched this programme. Now, looking back now, you all say, but how could you believe it, that flickering images and shaking sets? But that was state of the art then. Doctor Who was really ahead of its time in 1963. And I was riveted. And whenever I could, I watched it. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't have VCRs then. So quite soon afterwards, I did become an actor. So one tends to work on Saturdays in the theatre, so I missed an awful lot of it. But then as soon as VCRs were around, I used to record it and watch it. So I have been a loyal follower of the programme.
I lived in abject poverty in London.
In a shoebox on the M6.
Yes. We didn't have television. But a friend down the stairs did, and we used to meet Saturdays because we did the football pools, and we'd wait for the results, and suddenly this programme came on afterwards, called Doctor Who. Patrick Troughton, he was my first Doctor, and I became addicted to it then, and watched it until about halfway through Tom Baker, and then I became an actor, and lost touch with it, as did Colin here, because of no means of recording. So when I came to do it, I'd forgotten all about it, really, and so didn't know much about it when I did it. So there.
Were you in The Hobbit? The Hobbit?
I thought you'd grown that beard so you could get into The Hobbit.
Bitch.
That's a bad
Who bitching? Talking, innit?
I think I've worked out why they've not been allowed on stage together in America.
Like repelling magnets.
So, Paul, obviously Sylvester was saying his one, and moving on to you yourself now.
Well, I'm not as old as these guys. At least, I mean, they're younger in spirit than I
You
am.
went to Hollywood for 3 weeks and came back and were younger.
Cash too, it was for cash. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I watched it as a kid in the 60s when these guys were all old law students and that. I was transfixed. We had what, 3 channels? There were 3 channels in those days. So we all became fans, and it was on at the time when we came home from school. So yeah, you know, we were hooked. But then it disappeared.
Yeah, I killed it off.
He killed it off. By the time it was rumoured, and then it was going to make a comeback, and then the phone rang, and I was offered the gig. I thought it was a joke. But why would they resuscitate a dead thing? But it.
It's a way to talk about.
You're having way too much fun over there.
Micro corner over there. But lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. And that's why we're all sitting here today, talking garbage.
So, obviously all of you had a knowledge of Doctor Who, and I remember when I was a kid, when the next Doctor was announced, there was a lot of press, there was a lot of excitement, and it still is even today. All 4 of you had that moment, had that point where you went for the job. As Paul just said, he thought it was a joke. Going from Peter onwards, I mean, did you actively try for the role? Did you expect to get it? Were you surprised you even were on the radar?
No, and this is going to sound a bit... I actually didn't have to go for the part. I just got rung up one night and offered it, which was very nice, because I thought I'd been sensible enough to work with John Nathan Turner about 3 years before that in All Creatures Great and Small. And he'd left to go and produce Doctor Who, and I didn't think any more of it, and he rang me one night out of the blue and said to me, Peter, it's John here, Tom Baker's leaving Doctor Who. I thought, why on earth is he telling me this? And then he said, how would you feel about being the next Doctor? And I think I went into a kind of shock, because I just couldn't really relate to the idea of me being the Doctor at all. Oddly, now, with the series, since the series came back, I seem less out of place than I did at the time. But I grew up on older Doctors, so the idea of me playing the Doctor seemed a bit odd. And he actually had to offer to take me out for lunch before I realised he was serious. Because on the BBC budget, that's a big expense. And finally, in the end, it sounds daftest, but I knew, the way it works in this business is if you're offered a part and then you turn it down and someone else plays it, you really can't go around saying, I was offered that first. And the idea of being offered it and never being able to tell anyone that I was offered it made me, I think, I can't possibly turn it down because I won't be able to tell anyone, so I thought, well, I better do it. It's the most stupid reason in the world to accept the part.
But that's a good reason. That's a good reason.
That was really the truth. So that's how I ended up doing it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Now, Colin, you
Well,
actually didn't
I
think you did it, did you?
actually turned it down before he did it. when they offered it to me again 3 years later, I thought, oh, well, they're never going to go away.
Yeah.
They offered it to me when I was 4. Before they'd even heard of it.
Is it true? Is it true, Colin, that you were offered the part of the curator as well?
Oh, was it? Well, it was true.
Yes!
Yeah, we were all offered the curator.
You all offered the curator.
Yes.
You turned it down. I told
We
you
all
to
turned it down. Solidarity. Now, my story is I got a phone call from my agent in the summer of 82.
1885.
Saying the BBC had rung up to offer me a part of a character called Maxil.
Woo!
And I said, oh, what a
Sounds like a
shame.
headache, doesn't it?
What a shame. That means I'll never play the Doctor. He said, why? And I said, well, because I know they never cast the Doctor from somebody who's been in Doctor Who before. and my agent said, well, they're not going to offer it to you, are they? This is my agent. I said, no, I suppose you're right. So I played Maxil, and as a result of playing Maxil,
and shooting me.
and shooting Peter, and we did a run through, and the producer, because we used to rehearse it like a play, and you do a run through of the whole story for the producer a couple of days before we go in the studio. John Nathan Turner came up to me afterwards and said, do you remember what this program's called? I said, yeah, Doctor Who. Oh, it's not called Maxil then? And I said, no, it's called Doctor Who. He said, you're playing it as if it's called Maxil. And I said, well, in our own lives, each one of you sitting out there is the lead actor in your life. And so is Maxil. Maxil doesn't give a hoot for the... Yes, I know, but do you have to show that all the time? So I agreed to compromise my high standards of acting.
Take it down a bit.
Is this why you were the humblest Doctor?
But I had a good laugh with John Nathan Turner, and I got on very well with him. And bless his heart, 18 months later, when Peter decided enough was enough, he rang me up. I was to come and see him. And that was that.
I heard on the news that they were looking for a new Doctor after Tom Baker. Was it Tom? No, I think it was Colin. It was when you left, Peter. And you left, so I said to my agent, there's a job going at the BBC. And he phoned them up and said, sorry, we've cast it. And they'd cast you. I think that's it. And then, 3 years later, or 2 years later, it was on the news that you were leaving. So I phoned up my agent again and said, there's a job, it's going at the BBC. And this time, they got me in to see John Nathan Turner. Luckily enough, a friend of mine who was a producer-director did Vision On and Tis Was and various other things that I was involved with. He phoned up John Nathan Turner immediately after my agent. The next call was that from him, Clive Doig, and he said, I think you should see Sylvester McCoy. I think he'd make a good Doctor. And John Nathan Turner said, yeah, you were the same agency. What's going on here? He said, no. And John, I was kind of believed in synchronicity and stuff like that. And that ping, a light went on in his head, and he thought, ooh, I'll go and see this guy because he's on at the National. And he came along and he came back and he said, I've found my new Doctor. I discovered this years later, but anyway, that's how I got the job. That and the hat.
John, to see it like this now, and I'm sorry John's not around to see it. At first he might have been a bit depressed that it wasn't his anymore, but I think he would have so enjoyed the resurgence of the programme he loved.
Oh yeah, he would have, very much so.
Yeah.
And he would have wallowed in the wonder of all
Yes.
this.
Hawaiian shirts.
Even brighter Hawaiian shirts.
And Paul, one more time. So they phoned you up and you thought they were joking. So I mean, was it an audition process or did you?
It was. I'd been in the year before. I have 3 brothers, all actors, and we'd been in this BBC drama together. The one and only time we ever worked together. And unbeknownst to me, Phil Siegel, who would be in charge of of producing the so-called movie that we made in '96, saw it. And anyway, it was a mid-19th century thing. I played this priest. I had long hair, this frock coat, and it was obviously his idea of a doctor. They got in touch. His problem was he couldn't tell me and my brother Mark apart.
It should have been Mark.
So we should have been Mark. Yeah. So we both auditioned.
No!
Yes.
No.
You can see the auditions online. You can see them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, bear me out. It's true, isn't it?
Has he forgiven you?
We've never talked about it.
No.
Pete, when we had a few drinks one night, you know, they were doing the Sylvester McCoy and Paul McGann film. He let rip. He said, "Oh, I've got them all mixed up. I don't know which one's which.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is the right one, but anyway, that it was."
Even the day I turned up in Canada to shoot it, he wasn't convinced that I was.
Oh, that's helpful when you're working, isn't it? Although I do have to point out one thing. I mean, we're talking here as if there ever was a regeneration from me to him.
Yeah, he was too lazy to turn up for work.
So in fact, these two are imposters on my left. And I am still the Doctor. They started a new line. They're number 1 and 2 of the new regime.
Now, speaking of the movie, Sylvester, how did it feel to, several years after Doctor Who effectively in England was believed dead and buried, to suddenly be told, come and be in this film, this American film, and you get to regenerate? I mean, how did that happen for you?
It was great, really. I enjoyed it immensely. Partly because they gave me a dressing room, something the BBC never bothered with. And it was a huge dressing room, and it had lighting for every season. It had a lounge, it had a kitchen, it had a shower. It had quite a few families living in it as well. It was great. And I just wallowed in the delight of it all. And I thought I was only going to be there just for the opening credits, but I managed to hang on for 20 minutes, and then, some new guy took over.
We stayed in a hotel, and there was the X-Files.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was really crazy.
Cool.
Yeah. And they were at the height of their fame, and we were just hanging out there trying to be cool.
They kept trying to get rid of us.
Yeah.
They were cramping their style.
No, it was great fun, also to experience doing it with a bit of money behind it. That's it.
And then, of course, almost 20 years later, you've returned to do your regeneration.
That's a late yeah.
How did that come about? What, did Stephen, well, no, obviously how regeneration happens, but I wasn't sure if Stephen contacted you.
Are we on the same page? That's right, one should never have McCoy behind you. Let's just keep him in your peripheral vision. Moffat got in touch, said, do you want to do this gig? And it was like 2 weeks hence. And
Did he say, don't tell the others?
He had to say, don't tell the others, yeah. It's shameful, isn't it? It's shameful.
Yes,
I feel bad about it.
He was a bit shifty in the Fiveish Doctors, wasn't he?
Well, I was going to ask
It's a shameful thing.
Did you know you were doing it when you filmed the Fiveish Doctors?
Gasp in horror.
It was worse. It was worse.
That's what that bloody phone call
It was worse than that. I knew I'd done it. We'd actually done it.
Because with the hindsight of watching the Fiveish Doctors, and we'll come to that in a minute, when you were saying, oh, he's got filming commitments and he's doing something, I just assumed that was a nod to the web series.
No, that was just another brilliant piece of scripting, Tony. Just a bit of, bit of premonition there. I just thought, well, the thing is, he wasn't. I mean, the reason that Paul wasn't in it more was essentially because he rang me up and said, oh, I'm off to Ireland for 3 months.
That is the real. Honest.
Now, secretly, he was filming Doctor Who. Believe it.
No, I feel bad about it, guys. We've never had the conversation. We're doctors, not diplomats.
Traitor.
Well, I hope you forgive me.
Aww.
So, the other thing as well was when you...
Peace, my son. If you're in Glasgow, it's say, good pieces, my son.
But when you came back for the episode, the Doctor wasn't the same. You didn't have that wonderful wig that I'm sure you loved wearing back then. You didn't have that lovely, was it a Wild Bill Hickok suit or was it an Oscar Wilde? Because there's always a variation, people are not too sure which one it was.
It was like a love child of Hickok and Wilde.
Because you were one of the only ones that I think I know that publicly changed their costume at a convention. You had the blue jacket.
Yeah,
so
but that was out of desperation, because all the photos I had were old ones.
Ah, right.
Simple as that.
So I wondered whether when you came back with the new look, it was kind of, you wanted a progression of that, or was that just simply you just looked at the Hickok costume and said, God, no way.
In a way, I wish I'd started, because, to get permission to do such things is amazing. It took me weeks and weeks and weeks, ringing people up at the BBC trying to... And in the end, you're just fobbed off. Would it be okay if I took a picture in this new jacket? Anyway, but in the end, they just pass you to somebody else who just puts the phone down on you. So, it's what it's like.
Don't ask, that's my motto.
We went and did it anyway.
Just do it.
But
Don't ask, just do it.
Really, that was just for some new photographs. That's what it was for.
Now, moving on to the fiveish Doctors. Now, Now,
wasn't that actually the best thing about that weekend? It was the thing with the true spirit.
I will honestly say, and I've said this publicly, that the 50th anniversary had the best special known to man, and it wasn't the one with the fluffy-haired guy and the guy with the fringe. The Fiveish Doctors was to many classic fans the anniversary special. And if you are a Doctor Who fan and you haven't seen it, you are dead to all of us. How did it come about? Peter, you were the instigator of this. How did it come about? Because all I saw was what I thought was the Fish Doctors.
Oh, yeah.
The Fish Doctor was quite late on because we wanted to start tweeting something
Oh my gosh, that was
mysterious
crazy.
leading up to the release of it. Because there was sort of speculation, because I said this morning, but I'll say it again. It started off about 2 years before at a convention where I was asked if we were going to be in the 50th anniversary special, and I didn't think we were, and I foolishly said, well, if we're not going to be, I'm damn well going to make my own. And then, and I didn't suspect that anyone would record that, but funnily enough, a month later I did another convention, and someone said to me, question from the audience, oh, apparently you're making your own 50th anniversary special. So I realised I was going to have to come up with something, and I had this germ of an idea about me trying to get into the 50th anniversary special, sneak into it, and I realised it would be much better if the other classic Doctors were also in it. So I asked Colin, Sylvester and Paul, I cornered them when we were in New Zealand, I think, wasn't it?
Australia, New Zealand.
And they very kindly said yes. I suspect they were slightly unconvinced by it. And probably the most gratifying thing about the whole experience, because the script sort of grew and grew, and then, because I wrote a little scene in with my sons in it, and then Colin said, oh, can I have a scene with my daughters in? So we wrote that as well, and then Sylvester said, oh, I'm really, I'd love to be in it, but I am filming The Hobbit in New Zealand.
were you?
And I thought, that was news to Peter Jackson as well. So anyway, so when he said he was filming The Hobbit in New Zealand, I thought, I'll write a little scene with Peter Jackson there, and I sent it to him, and Sylvester, I think you mentioned it to him.
Yeah, I asked him if he'd do it.
And he sent back an email saying, yes, I'd certainly take part in it, and I'll get Ian McGann in it as well. So I thought, this is now unbelievable. But as I said, the most gratifying thing was that as I think we progressed with, it was quite difficult to organise, because we were quite busy, weren't we?
Yeah.
But as time went on, I think both Colin and Sylvester kind of thought, oh, actually, this is quite a good idea. So it moved up in priority, I think, and Sylvester very kindly helped us out coming back from Paris a day early.
Yes, I missed Paris. I gave up Paris.
You gave up Paris, just for me.
For a corridor at the BBC.
So and anyway, and then I brought my daughter on board as producer, and she rang up and said, "Oh, apparently John Barrowman's a bit upset about not being in the 50th anniversary special." And I thought, "All right, I'll write a scene for him then." Anyway, we got it done by the skin of our teeth.
And you got the son-in-law in it as well.
We got the son-in-law in it, and we got the current doctor in it, and we got
grandchildren.
we got
The cat, the dog.
I think the thing you have to bear in mind is when Peter first asked us, I was really up for it, but I knew what it was like trying to get something like that off the ground. Yeah. So any skepticism I had was about the ability to persuade all those people to do something decent.
Yes.
Rather than go off and do a half-good job, because that's all you can get. And it's a tribute to Peter that he managed to get to con the BBC somehow into allowing us to use their studios, their props, and everything else, given the subject matter of what we were making.
Yeah.
And then they all wanted to be in it as well.
Yeah, Stephen Moffat, I believe, he suddenly realised after a little while when he was in, he suddenly thought, wait a minute, I'm the villain of the piece.
It was a great treat to do, and thank you very much to these guys for giving us, giving me nobody got money for this at all. That was the amazing thing, really.
No, we didn't get any money.
Everyone sort of signed off on it just for the chance to be in it, and that was fantastic. And I said this morning, but I'll say it again. The thing is that really and truly, although I'm very gratified, a lot of people enjoyed it. It was specifically made, and I think maybe this is why it was so popular. It was very specifically made for the fans who wanted us to be in it and were disappointed by the fact that we weren't. So my final thing I'll say is we did try and get Tom Baker in it. I wrote him a scene, Tom Baker, but he just didn't answer my emails. Much like the Five Doctors, oddly enough. And when he refused to be in it, essentially, I thought, well, why not use exactly the same scene from the Five Doctors? And I showed it to this friend of mine, and he said, that's a better joke than the scene with Tom Baker. So that worked out as well, so it's brilliant.
But we couldn't get a waxwork because it melted him.
Before the lawyers start coming in, I've been told that we're going to be opening up the microphone over there for questions. So if you have a question, one over there quick. Don't put your hand up. You need to go to the microphone. But while they go over there, one of the moments in the Fiveish Doctors that I particularly liked myself was when the three of you were in the new TARDIS. How did it feel just to be in there?
Well, we said how we felt. The lines expressed exactly what we felt. It's all a bit fiddly, isn't it?
Yeah,
it doesn't wobble.
It's a bit busy.
Too many for the old one.
Like when they're at their...
So dark in there, you can't see a damn thing.
Exactly.
It's almost like I'm watching it again. Yes, sir.
Hello, doctors.
Hello.
First of all, I want to say it's absolutely fantastic to have you all here in the state of Texas. My question is, what is the most important lesson you've learned, first of all, like as a doctor, and second of all, as an actor?
So what?
Get the money up front.
Well, that was a nice, quick and easy question. Thank you very much.
I never believe a director or producer when they say, we must work together again sometime.
Yes, next question. Hello.
Is that it?
Hi.
You don't have to reach up to it. You can move it down to your mouth. It's a lot easier.
There we go. I've been acting for 13 years, and one of my dreams is to one day be a companion on Doctor Who. So I was wondering what y'all think it takes to be a good companion.
So was that you want to be a companion in Doctor Who?
One day, yes.
And you want to know what they believe, how they feel about a girl from Houston being in Doctor Who?
No, like what it takes to be a good companion. Like,
Does
like
Jennifer
character-
Lawrence come from Houston? That'd be my choice. that would be my choice.
I think she was hoping that you'd say, we'd love you to be a companion, to be perfectly honest.
Come out and do an audition. Come on.
Yeah, come out.
You have to scream and run down a corridor.
Right, so what we need you to do is you need to stand here, you need to scream, Doctor! Scream really loudly, turn around, and then fall and hurt your ankle.
No, you're far too pretty.
This will go back to England.
I'll deny it.
And next
We'll
question.
shave your beard and say, wasn't me, it was someone else with a beard.
Hi.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're twins celebrating our 16th
Sorry,
birthday.
speak closer to the microphone, we can't hear you.
We're twins celebrating our 16th birthday today, and we thought it would be really special if you would sing the Doctor Who theme song with us.
No, actually, sorry, can you come out to the light a bit? I can't quite see you.
They want to sing it for us, or they want
It's their 16th birthday.
Rather than sing the theme, if you can come up here. Oh, sorry, what was your name again? Danny, and your name was? Austin. Excellent, come out to the light.
Come into the light!
First off, could everybody say happy birthday to Danny and Austin? Now, we don't really have the time to sing, unfortunately, but what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to scream, Doctor, run, fall over, and hurt your ankle.
It's Adric.
Yes.
Doctor!
Oh, that's so good.
Did that remind you of Adric?
Happy
Yes,
birthday.
if they both blew up trying to save the Earth, I think that'd be very good.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
That's terrible. You've actually said happy birthday and compared him to Adric. Next question.
If there's one adventure, place, or time the Doctor has not yet experienced that you would like to see him experience, could you tell us?
Where would you have liked the Doctor to go? Remember, there are children in the audience. Hooters does not count.
I think a story that went back to, the early 1900s and prevented Michael Grade's parents from meeting each other. That would be a good one.
For those of you who don't know, Michael Grade was the man who did cancel Doctor Who back in the day. He's not just picking on random British people.
I'd be curious to go back to Israel at the beginning of the first millennium. I'd really like to know the answer.
Okay, yes, hello.
Hello. This question is specifically for Sylvester. I was amazed at his portrayal as Radgast in The Hobbit, and seeing as how Radgast wasn't really in the books, I want to know how hard it was to portray someone who wasn't in the books.
Yeah.
You were in The Hobbit.
I want to know that as well.
But if he wasn't in the books, he wasn't very hard at all, I'm assuming.
He was referred to.
It was easy. I mean,
He was referred to in the book.
He just turned up as Sylvester, and that was it.
Yeah, just got some bird shit down my face and off I went. Peter Jackson said that it was his ambition in life to cover an actor in bird shit. And so that's what happened.
I do want to add to that because I'm aware that he's a massive Doctor Who fan as well, and doesn't Peter Jackson actually own a Seventh Doctor's costume? Is that correct?
Yes, he does. Yeah,
and how did that feel when you turned up to meet him and he's got your costume in a glass case? Did you think that you were going to be stuffed?
He's done that
taxidermy, I mean.
The bizarre and wonderful thing about it was that it took 3 years, really, the whole project. And all the time, he never mentioned Doctor Who at all. I never mentioned it, wasn't brought up. Other people mentioned the fact that he was a Doctor Who fan. And then at the end, he's a lovely man because he used to make me speeches for actors who'd done the last scene and give them a little present and thank them. It was really pleasant. And he did a nice speech for me and said, you know, there's the stave and there's some wine and how great it was me working with. And then he went and he said, and I got to work with the Doctor! 3 years, not a hint of it. It was just quite strange and wonderful. Just that he saved up for that moment.
Yes, next question.
Hello again. I just wanted to thank all of y'all for doing the Fiveish Doctors, because whenever I'm really depressed or very sad, I always watch it and it just picks me right back up again. Mr. Baker, I won't be here tomorrow for your Q&A, and I have to go home today, but...
I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to ask if it would be all right if I could come up and give you one more hug. Sorry, I'm tearing up a bit.
Come on and give me a hug.
Put her down.
But don't break her ankle.
Put in there. We've got time for...
Can we kick her out?
She's only 12, you know.
You can take a doctor to 2 conventions, the second time to apologise. We've got time for 1, maybe 2 questions left, so can we have the next question, please? He's not hugging you.
No, I'm not hugging anybody. I just want to say thanks for coming up and being in Houston, and I appreciate everything. My big question is for Paul McGann. Are we going to be seeing any more audio dramas from the 8th Doctor anytime soon?
I don't think they want you enough.
That was Barrowman-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I hope so. Oh, what can I say? I hope so. I hope so. But when would we know? If he was going to do it, he would tell me on the Friday and would start on the Monday. You know, that's how it happens. Fingers crossed, though, but I'd love to come back. Even if it's in 17 years' time, just for 6 minutes. That would be great, wouldn't it?
A web series, that works.
I don't know.
Yeah, I will say, is there anybody here who doesn't know that there is a series of Doctor Who audios by a company called Big Finish? Because if you don't, you must go and find it now, because their 50th anniversary special, starring all of these guys, was the definitive 50th Doctor special.
And there's 400 hours of us. It's coming up to the 200th story, and they're all 2 hours each. So the 5 of us have done 200 hours worth.
I love it.
4 of you. 4. I'm not part of it.
Tom has now joined. So 200 hours of we 4. And the standard of writing, I have to say, in many cases, is significantly better than some of the stuff we did on screen. Having said that, it's much easier in one way to have magnificent sets and magnificent, beautiful people on audio. And that's the joy of audio. I look exactly the same as I did in 1983.
Okay, we have time for one more question, so no pressure, but it had better be good.
My heartbeat is beating really fast.
We can't hear you, sorry, can you speak closer to the microphone?
My heart was beating really fast. Yes. I had a question, but Sylvester, I met you last August at Space City Con, and I got your autograph, and you were my first doctor to get a signature from, and I was so freaked out, but I forgot to get a picture with you, and then I saw you last night, but at the hotel, and then we were so
Yeah, I'd stop saying what he was doing last night, because that might get really bad.
Is there anything you want to tell us about last night? What happened?
Well, we saw you, but...
You want to come up here and have a hug?
Can I have a picture with you too? A picture with you?
Oh, that's really easy. If you come up and stand here, you're going to get about 400 pictures. Run!
That's seriously the last question.
Run, quickly!
Don't break your ankle.
Hang on, she's got a selfie.
Yeah, there's no one else watching. That's good.
Wait. Now, what I need you to do is yell, "Doctor!" and fall over.
Doctor!
Ow!
Good, excellent.
Is there a doctor in the house?
No.
And guys, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. Please, please.